Tom Riddle's diary, planted at Hogwarts Dobby, sent to warn Harry Potter of the dangers that were coming.
The breaking of the prophecy in the Department of Mysteries and Narcissa's lie to save Harry in the Forbidden Forest.
Could these be proof that the Malfoys were infiltrated the whole time, acting in the shadows against Voldemort? The one of... Hey wizards, how's it going?
This is a theory that brings together some points from the Harry Potter story and presents the idea that the Malfoys did everything deliberately.
Because they were actually trying to bring down Voldemort. According to the theory, it all starts when Lucius Malfoy plants Tom Riddle's diary in Ginny's cauldron, so the artifact would go to Hogwarts. The goal seemed to be to revive Voldemort, but in reality, Lucius knew the diary was the Horcrux and planted it with the intention that the item would be destroyed. Another factor that the theory uses as a basis in its favor is that Dobby, the house elf, tries to protect Harry that same year, and he could have easily prevented several events, but he didn't. So, Dobby was there with the sole purpose of making sure Harry survived, because Harry surviving always meant the downfall of Voldemort. The theory also points to a crucial moment in the story, the battle at the Department of Mysteries. There, in Order of the Phoenix, Lucius leads the Death Eaters. The mission was to try to get the prophecy by setting a trap for Harry. But when Lucius gets the prophecy and has it in his hands, he drops it, causing the only chance for Voldemort to know how to defeat Harry to be lost. So, according to the theory, this was either an accident or sabotage by Lucius. The theory suggests Narcissa made the unbreakable vow not to protect Draco, but to protect Snape, as it gave him a perfect excuse to continue as a double agent without arousing Voldemort's suspicion, ensuring he remained undercover until the end. You think it's over, but it's not. The theory says Draco disarms Dumbledore in the astronomy tower, unknowingly becoming master of the Elder Wand. When Harry later defeats Draco, mastery of the Elder Wand passes to Harry.
Without Voldemort noticing, the fate of the greatest dark weapon falls to the only one who could defeat him, Harry.
And another point that the theory also uses is that at Malfoy Manor, Draco refuses to recognize Harry's face, right? He refuses to say that it was really Harry when he is captured, and he's there with his face disfigured because of Hermione's spell, which was intentionally used so they wouldn't recognize Harry. And the final point of the theory points to the moment when, there in the forest, Narcissa confirms that Harry is dead when Voldemort attacks him there with the killing curse. In other words, she lies, even though she knows he's alive. That's when Voldemort's downfall begins, where he ends up letting his guard down, thinking Harry was gone, and that's when the final battle starts. The theory concludes that after finishing their mission, the Malfoys just leave. They leave Hogwarts during the final battle while Voldemort is there, making them one of the most hated families at Hogwarts. They were never enemies, but were always trying to help. As double agents, could they be the heroes in the shadows? My friend, I have to say, if you've listened this far and agreed with even a little bit of this theory, just say it. No offense. But well, I don't need to say how many times people sent this theory to my Instagram DMs, asking me to react, to talk about it, to comment on it. And man, I genuinely get happy when you guys send me these crazy theories like this, because you want to see what I have to say about them. And man, I think that's really cool. That's because it shows that I've built a really cool, really awesome community here that, wants to hear what I have to say. Thank you for your trust and affection regarding Harry Potter. Now, about the theory, let's discuss it, with all due respect to its creator. I'm just discussing the theory here. It has nothing to do with its creator, especially since I don't know who they are.
Nothing, absolutely nothing against them, but the theory is very weak.
First, this kind of theory, which somehow takes the weight off the character's actions. For me, they're really bad. Right off the bat, like the Malfoys, they were jerks, prejudiced, because that's who they were, not because of anything else. And this theory also takes the weight off the actions of other characters. You'll understand more as I explain why, in my view, the theory is weak. I want to talk about it by topic. Let's go. Lucius Plantal, the diary, knowing it was the Horcrux so it could be destroyed on purpose. In the first place, Lucius had no idea the diary was a Horcrux. And that's official. Okay? When we have official information in the story, There's no room to theorize about it.
It's official and final. Lucius didn't know it was the Horcrux. Let's go, Lucius.
He got the diary directly from Voldemort during the First Wizarding War and knew it was a skillfully enchanted artifact.
It had instructions to reopen the Chamber of Secrets and remove Muggleborns from Hogwarts, right? That's all he knows about the artifact.
But since that never happened, Voldemort fell, and the diary stayed with Lucius. But Lucius never ever suspected that there was a piece of Voldemort's soul in that diary. And you can be sure that if he knew there was a piece of Voldemort's soul in it, he would never leave the diary like that or put it at risk.
Never, because he was afraid of Voldemort. He would never treat a piece of Voldemort's soul so carelessly. So why did he put the diary in Ginny's cauldron?
It was out of nowhere. It was by chance. No, it wasn't by chance. After Voldemort had been brought into Hogwarts the previous year by Quirrell and almost got the Philosopher's Stone, the Ministry became alert, and people who had any connection with Voldemort's past, like during the First Wizarding War, were investigated again.
Besides that, Arthur Weasley created some laws to protect Muggles, and Lucius didn't like that at all.
So, for those reasons, the diary was placed there, specifically in Ginny's cauldron.
First, to get rid of an item that could incriminate him, since old names connected to Voldemort were being investigated.
We see the scene with Lucius Malfoy in the movie, though it was deleted, but it's in the book.
He goes to Borgin and Burke's to sell some things, because the Ministry was conducting raids on houses, and he could get into trouble.
Second, to actually have the Chamber of Secrets opened and Muggleborns killed. Third, to frame the daughter of the person who created the law to protect Muggles, to blame this crime on Ginny.
If she had the diary, she'd be possessed and open the Chamber of Secrets. He was trying to kill 3 birds with 1 stone, not just 2.
So, this point of the theory isn't just flawed for these reasons, because we have the official facts here, but also because Lucius was sure that Voldemort was dead.
If he wanted to destroy the diary, he would have tried when Voldemort fell in the First War. So why would he, an experienced Death Eater, count on the chance of an 11-year-old girl? Destroy the diary since the theory claims he wanted it destroyed. How could he know this would happen? Do you get it? That's leaving too much to chance, man. Way too much to chance. It doesn't make sense. The second point is Dobby being sent to protect Harry. The theory's creator apparently didn't realize Dobby was a different kind of house elf.
A house elf tired of oppression. A revolutionary house elf. A house elf who wanted to fight for his rights. Who was tired of the oppression from wizards. It seems like the person didn't get that.
Making Dobby out to be someone who's just following orders completely takes away the weight of the character. You completely nullify the character, because Dobby is a revolutionary elf.
He wants to be paid for his work. He wants better conditions. You get it? He wants to be free. He doesn't want to be oppressed by wizards anymore. So much so that he has all that brainwashing of punishing himself, of hurting himself, when he doesn't follow his master's orders. That's because it was something so ingrained in house elves that he did it. But he wasn't following anyone's orders there to protect Harry. And you can also see that the theory is very vague because, like,
Dobby, he could have stopped a lot of things he wanted to, and he lets things happen.
But stopping what exactly? The theory doesn't specify. A good theory connects A and B and explains the structure and reasons. The theory doesn't say which things Dobby could have stopped, that he didn't stop. Which things, because a lot of the things that happen are actually caused by Dobby himself. Closing Harry's way to Hogwarts, trying to hurt Harry so he would leave Hogwarts. Those things, he tries, he fakes it, right? He casts the spell so Harry is blamed and can't return to school. So, does Dobby stop Harry by keeping him at home? No, right? Come on, he wouldn't do that. About Dobby. Why didn't Dobby stop him? He treats those statements as equal, like, oh,
Why didn't Voldemort just throw baby Harry out the window instead of using Avada Kedavra?
it's the same thing. It's the same level of argument. So this claim that Dobby could have stopped it sounds like that to me, you know? And it also takes away all the weight from the character. It completely ruins his development. Imagine, is he going to defend Harry just because Lucius told him to do it?
And not because he wanted to do it himself, was tired of the oppression, or wanted to stop it.
That Muggle-born students would be killed, you know? It doesn't make sense. But for me, the worst part of this theory is the prophecy, there in the Department of Mysteries. The thing about Lucius letting the prophecy break. whether it was sabotage or not. First, Lucius's incompetence. Complete incompetence, okay? And I don't know if the person who made this theory remembers, but in the book, it's not Lucius. Neville is the one who breaks the prophecy. After being hit with a Jellylegs jinx, he accidentally kicks the prophecy from Harry's hand, causing it to break. That's what happens. It's not Lucius Malfoy who drops it, so it doesn't even make sense. I don't think I need to talk about this point anymore. And now we get to the main point of the theory, right? Which says that Narcissa makes the unbreakable vow to protect Snape, not Draco. Come on, guys, please. That also takes away all the weight from Narcissa, her burden. The mother's love, the mother's concern of going against the Dark Lord to protect her own son. Man, we're talking about a story that emphasizes this point all the time.
About love, about love, about love, about the power that love has. And look at that power. Even though Narcissa's actions are highly questionable and she wasn't the best example of a person,
ultimately, her love for her son drove her to defy everything, including Voldemort and his plan. So, that unbreakable vow there, first of all, the one who makes the unbreakable vow, the one who pushes for it, is Bellatrix. That unbreakable vow is a comfort for her, that she could count on Snape to protect Draco. That's all. It's not just to keep Snape there, because it also puts Snape in a tough spot, right? It puts Snape in a tough spot. Snape all this time hasn't been caught recklessly. He managed to fool Voldemort easily, and he did it until the end. Oh, we don't even need to make an unbreakable vow here. You see, it takes away the character's weight, the character's talent, just to put in a dumb and lazy solution. No, Narcissa made the vow only to protect Draco, not Snape. That reassured her, ensuring Snape would help. And there was also Snape himself. He already knew he'd have to take the mission and kill Dumbledore, since Dumbledore's hand was already damaged. You get it? It had all been arranged by then. That's why he agrees to do it. It relieves the burden on Narcissa and Draco's relationship. Narcissa is focused entirely on her son. And this next topic, I don't even need to say anything. This next topic, the theory says the following. I'll read exactly what the theory says. In the Astronomy Tower, Draco unknowingly becomes Master of the Elder Wand by disarming Dumbledore. When Harry defeats Draco, the wand's allegiance shifts to Harry. Unbeknownst to Voldemort, the fate of the greatest dark weapon falls to the only one who could defeat him, Harry. The theory is just stating what happens, like, this is a fact, this happens. But the point used to reinforce the theory is that the Malfoys were acting deliberately.
right, and the theory says Draco unknowingly disarms and becomes the wand's master.
You see, it doesn't make sense. The creator of the theory uses a real fact, but it just doesn't add up. Draco unknowingly became Master of the Elder Wand by disarming. Later, Harry disarms Draco and becomes its master. This is fact, not theory. And then to say that this was intentional, but still, to put in the sentence that Draco didn't know, you get it? Unless I'm really dumb and didn't get it here, but that's how it seems to me. And then it also comes to that point where Draco doesn't want to recognize Harry. Really, Draco, that happens. Draco doesn't want to recognize him, doesn't want to say it's Harry there, not because he wanted to defeat Voldemort or because, wow, it was for Harry.
He just didn't want Voldemort to succeed because he was experiencing firsthand what Voldemort's regime was like. He was feeling his family suffering through everything.
There was nothing left to lose, not even for the Malfoys, since they were facing the consequences of their actions, right? But what if they hadn't failed their missions? They were still at the top of the game, still sucking up to Voldemort. But since that wasn't the case, they got what they deserved. It's still not enough. So Draco does this out of fear. He's scared of what might happen. That's why he doesn't turn Harry in.
Maybe right there at that moment Draco really does feel some regret about everything.
I'm not saying no. It's likely yes. But at that time, it was more for his family than for Harry. And the theory ultimately addresses the lie, right? About Narcissa Malfoy, man. That part. She lied so that Voldemort would be defeated.
My brother, I'm just going to read you the excerpt from the book. You, said Voldemort. And there was a bang and a little scream of pain.
Isaminio, is he dead? Hands lighter than he had imagined touched his face, lifted his eyelids, slipped under his shirt, and felt his heart. He heard the woman's quick breathing. Her long hair tickled his face, and Harry knew she could hear the rhythmic pulse of life against his ribs. Draco is alive. He's in the castle. The whisper was barely audible. Her lips were just inches from his ear. her head bent so low that her hair shielded her face from the onlookers. "He is," he whispered.
In response, Harry felt the hand on his chest clench, her nails digging into him. Then she withdrew her hand.
"Centaura, he's dead," Narcissa Malfoy told the Death Eaters. They shouted, screamed in triumph, and clapped. With his feet on the ground and through his eyelids, Harry saw red and silver flashes shoot into the air, celebrating, still pretending to be dead. He understood Narcissa. He knew she was paying attention. Narcissa knew that the only way they would let her enter Hogwarts and look for her son was to join the conquering army. This part here already destroys the theory. She no longer cared whether Voldemort would win or not. Here, the book itself already says it. Narcissa didn't care about Voldemort. She just wanted to find her son and knew the only way to do so safely was by doing this. Lying there, saying, "No, he's dead. You killed him." Then, with the conquering army, going to Hogwarts to find Draco. When they return to the castle and Harry pretends to be dead, the battle resumes. Lucius and Narcissa don't care. They leave without casting spells on anyone, amid all the magic, searching and calling for Draco. And when it's all over, they're sitting there in the Great Hall, hugging each other, ignoring everyone's stares. According to the theory, they leave after completing their mission. But I think that's nonsense. It's only in the movie that they leave. Only in the movie that they leave, because in the book, they stay there. In the book, they skip the battle to pursue Draco. And after Voldemort is defeated, they sit in the Great Hall hugging, ignoring everyone else. In other words, bad theory, no points, none, absolutely none of its points hold up. And it's not just bad because it's weak. No, because if it were only a weak theory, that's fine. But the problem with these theories that take away responsibility, that take away the greatness of both the negative and positive actions of the characters who were built that way, is that these theories are automatically bad. It's like that theory about the Dursleys. People say they were only mean to Harry because the Horcruxes affected them. I mean, it takes all the responsibility away from the characters who were bad, truly bad, like the Dursleys, and puts it on Harry, who was the victim in the whole thing. You know what I mean? Here, it's the same with Dobby. It undermines his greatness as a revolutionary elf, fighting oppression and wanting change, reducing it to just following Lucius's order.
You know, that's just a theory to me. With all due respect, you'll have to forgive me. But that's a crappy theory, man. Really bad. All right, so that's it.
Send me more theories. Send whatever theories you want. I'll definitely check them out. And if it's worth talking about them here, I'll definitely bring them up. We're together for another year. Hope your new year was good.